Google just launched the $99 home speaker, its first new smart speaker in nearly 6 years. In the tech world, 6 years is a very, very long time, so one would assume that this new speaker would be way better than this, the Nest Audio, right? Well, let's talk about that. Before I get into this, let me be upfront and say that my house is absolutely bursting with Google Smart Home stuff. I have 4 Nest Audio speakers, a Nest Mini, a Google Nest Hub Max, and the Pixel tablet, which when on its dock is basically another smart display and speaker. I also have 2 Nest cameras, a Nest doorbell, and my entire home network is powered by the Google Nest Wi-Fi Pro. So yeah, it's safe to say I am pretty deep into the Google Smart Home ecosystem, so keep that in mind as I run through the new speaker. What I want to do here is talk about 3 things: what the home speaker is, how it compares to the Nest Audio and Nest Mini, and who I think should buy it. Let's start with the basics of what the home speaker is. At its core, it's just like any other smart speaker. You can play music through it using either Bluetooth or the CAS protocol, and you can also talk to Gemini through it by simply saying, hey, I don't want to trigger all your speakers at home, so I'm not going to say the full thing, but hey. Anyway, the home speaker comes in a few different colors, so you can find something that matches your home decor. Around the world, you'll be able to choose between porcelain and hazel, and here in the United States, you'll have 2 additional choices, jade and then the one that I have here, which is called berry. It's very disappointing that the US gets preferential treatment here with 4 colors to choose from, while everyone else gets the 2 boring colors, but that's Google for you. There's not much inside the box when you get the home speaker. There's the device itself with a 1.5 meter cable permanently attached to it that has a USB-C connector on the end, a 30-watt wall plug, and some paperwork. I'm a little annoyed that the cable is permanently connected to the speaker. With the Nest Audio and Nest Mini, if you want to clean or simply temporarily remove the speaker, you can just unplug it and leave the cable behind. For people like me who are very serious about cable management, that makes a huge difference. If I set the home speaker up and tape down its cables, I'll need to undo all that cable management if I need to temporarily move it. Not ideal. As with all other Google smart speakers and displays, there's a very obvious mic switch that allows you to turn off the microphone at any time. There are no other physical switches or buttons on the speaker. The top does have capacitive controls though. A tap on the left turns the volume down, a tap on the right turns the volume up, and a tap in the middle stops or starts music playback. Setting up the speaker is very simple. Everything happens in the Google Home app, so if you're already using that, there are no extra apps to download. When you power the speaker on for the first time, you'll get an alert to set it up. Just follow the instructions as they appear and you'll be up and running in a matter of minutes. You can then add the speaker to a group of other speakers you own so you can have all the speakers in your house play the same thing at the same time. If you have 2 home speakers, you can pair them together to create a stereo pair, which you can also do with the Nest Audio. Once you start using it, the speaker uses a ring light on the bottom to let you know what's happening. If it goes rainbow and then goes white, that means you've said the hot word and it's listening for a command. If it's flashing the Gemini colors, that means Gemini is either thinking or answering your question. When you turn the mic off with the switch on the back, the speaker will glow orange permanently to remind you it's not listening, but you can change this in the speaker settings if you want. So far, all this stuff is the same as what you'll find on the Nest Audio, which, let me remind you, came out 6 years ago for the same $99 price. Yeah, the Nest Audio doesn't have an LED ring on the bottom, but the 4 LED lights on the front also change colors when stuff is happening, so you get the same functionality in a slightly different form. There are a few things that are physically different about the home speaker when compared to the Nest Audio. One is that the fabric covering of the home speaker is very stretchy and you can easily move it around. The Nest Audio's fabric doesn't do this. I haven't had the home speaker long enough to say anything definitive about this, but it does suggest that the fabric cover on the home speaker might not be as durable as what's on the Nest Audio. Just something to think about. The Nest Audio is also significantly bigger and heavier than the home speaker. I realize the weight probably doesn't matter much since it will be on a shelf or table most of the time, but it is pretty stark just how much heavier the Nest Audio is. It's also a lot bigger than the home speaker. In fact, when I put all 3 speakers together, it's clear that the home speaker is closer to the Nest Mini in size than it is to the Nest Audio. Typically, this size and weight difference would suggest that the Nest Audio will have much better sound quality than the home speaker. Well, I did some tests for that. Here's a demo for you to check out and hear for yourself. Both speakers are at 50% volume for this test. And just for the fun of it, here's that same test, but with the Nest Mini thrown in instead of the Nest Audio. I'm curious to know what you think about this test, so jump down in the comments and let me know your thoughts. In my opinion, I think the home speaker is much better than the Nest Mini, but not quite as good as the Nest Audio. However, I will also say that the home speaker sounds pretty close to the Nest Audio, which is interesting considering how much smaller and lighter it is. Of course, listening to music or podcasts around the house isn't all you'll be doing with the home speaker. You'll also be using it to communicate with Gemini. This is not something unique to the home speaker, as all of Google's smart speakers and displays, including the Nest Audio and the Nest Mini, have Gemini support now. You might be thinking that because the home speaker is so much newer that it will be faster at issuing responses to questions than the Nest Audio. Well, let me show you what happened when I tested this. First, I asked the home speaker about one of my favorite films, Blade Runner.
Hey Google, when was the film Blade Runner released?
The film Blade Runner was released in the United States on June 25th, 1982.
So that's that, but then I asked the exact same question to the Nest Audio.
Hey Google, when was the film Blade Runner released?
Blade Runner was originally released in the United States on June 25th, 1982.
As crazy as it sounds, the Nest Audio actually answered the question faster. Sure, we're talking about 1 second of difference here, but shouldn't the home speaker be faster than the 6-year-old product? Now, you might be thinking that I stacked the deck against the home speaker by asking it the question first, which might have resulted in the Nest Audio being better prepared to answer the question. Well, to counteract this, I did the same thing again about another of my favorite films, La Femme Nikita, but asked the Nest Audio first and the Google Home Speaker second.
Hey Google, when was the film La Femme Nikita released?
La Femme Nikita originally premiered in Paris on February 21st, 1990, and it was later released in the United States in April 1991.
Hey Google, when was the film La Femme Nikita released?
La Femme Nikita premiered in Paris on February 21st, 1990, and was later released in the United States in April 1991.
Well, there it is. In both cases, the Nest Audio was faster. So by now, you're probably wondering, Scott, there must be something the home speaker can do that the Nest Audio can't. Well, I'm glad you asked that, because there are two things. The first is that if you own a Google TV streamer, you can wirelessly pair one or even two Google Home speakers to it. If you pair two of them, you can get spatial audio support, giving you a much more immersive sound experience when watching movies and TV shows. Unfortunately, Google only sent me one home speaker, so I can't show you how the stereo pairing works, but connecting one to the streamer is easy enough thanks to the Home app alerting you about the option. I will say this though, it's really cool that Google is offering this for the home speaker, but I can't think of any reason why it couldn't also make the Nest Audio support it through a software update. Sure, you wouldn't get spatial audio as the Nest Audio doesn't have the hardware for that, but having two Nest Audios connected in a stereo configuration to the streamer would be really neat. It's also lame that this only works with the Google TV streamer. If you have Google TV through any other means, you can't do this. The second thing the home speaker has that the Nest Audio doesn't is Thread support. This will only be important information for people who are really into smart home tech. If that's you, you'll know why Thread support is a pretty big deal. But if you have no idea what Thread is or why you should care about it, it will probably make no difference to you. So far, everything I've shown you is free with the purchase of the speaker, but this is 2026, so of course there are features locked behind a subscription. If you spend $10 per month for Google Home Premium Standard, you can use Gemini Live on the speaker, which allows you to have a free-flowing conversation with Gemini, just like you can do on your phone without spending any money at all. If you spend $20 per month for Google Home Premium Advanced, you'll be able to ask your speaker about what's happened in your home or what your cameras have seen recently. These features require generative AI, which is why they cost more. If you don't care about any of this though, then there's no real reason to pay for Google Home Premium. Oh, and also, all the features of Google Home Premium also work on the Nest Audio. So if you already own the Nest Audio, you won't get anything extra from your subscription by owning the home speaker. That brings us to the final chapter. Who do I think should buy the $99 Google Home speaker? Well, I think it's fairly obvious by now that anyone who owns a Nest Audio should completely skip the Google Home speaker. Unless you really love the idea of connecting two speakers to your Google TV streamer, or just want smaller and lighter speakers than what you already own, there's literally no reason to buy this. Your Nest Audio can already do everything. If you only own a Nest Mini, then upgrading to this might make more sense. It's clear that the home speaker sounds way better than the Nest Mini, but I know there are a lot of people out there who simply don't care about that. If all you use your Nest Mini for is to ask Gemini questions or give commands, well, there's nothing the Google Home speaker can do that your Nest Mini can't also do in that respect. So really, all that leaves is people who don't own any Google speakers at all. Should those people buy the Google Home speaker? I certainly think those buyers would be happy with their purchase, but I'd also suggest to them to go on eBay and buy a Nest Audio instead. You can get them pretty cheap if you find something open box or even gently pre-owned. Unless you desperately want to pair two speakers to your Google TV streamer or need the Thread capabilities of the home speaker, the Nest Audio does everything else the home speaker does. So why not save some money? The only real roadblock with all of this is that Google just recently discontinued the Nest Mini and the Nest Audio. That means as time goes on, it will be increasingly more difficult to find those two products, and Google could artificially hold back new features from the Nest products in favor of the home speaker. For now though, there are plenty of Nest products out there, and they are at near feature parity with the home speaker. So I'd highly recommend grabbing one, or two, or three. What I'm really hoping is that Google has more versions of the home speaker on the way. Now that this is the only smart speaker the company officially sells, there's room for a new entry-tier speaker to replace the Nest Mini, and also room for a bigger, better version to replace the Google Home Max, which was discontinued many years ago and never got adequately replaced. Google, if you're watching, I am the target audience for a new Google Home Max. Sell me some. Anyway, if you found this helpful, please like and subscribe, and with the Pixel 11 series coming soon, be sure to catch up on the latest leaks surrounding those new phones up here. I'll see you all down in the comments.